Hello everybody, welcome to the show. Excuse this little noise you're hearing. That's a flat behind you. That's just making crazy noises in the wind. Sorry about that. Can you hear it? Yeah, I know. So, last week I made a video on like BFS baits, rod and reels and that. Today I want to make a video on, because I've had a lot of people asking me, people suggesting, well, maybe you need to put a video just on like baits I recommend. You know, say if I had to put a few baits together. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through each of my tackle boxes, start from the top, work my way down, and I'm gonna pull out one or two, like this is what I would, you know, a must have for me if I'm going fishing. And I may do that sometime, pull out one or two baits out of each one of my, you know, boxes like this, put them in their own little separate box and just go fishing like that. But I have the option, I have bait everywhere. But to narrow it down for some of you guys just new to it, or you're new to BFS or new to bait casting gear, bass, you know, you come from catfishing, whatever, you want to know what baits to start with, I'm going to give you a quick rundown for bass. Now, that's the main thing I fish for. I do fish for crappie. I just will suggest this. Anything for crappie, as I start this video, is perfect BFS fishing for crappie or bass. Anything that you could think of. Transitions works very well. These little crappie jigs, little like spinner rooster tail type stuff. If you guys have any of the little, which, let me see if I have one here. The Roadrunner jig heads that have the, you know, underspin on them. They've had them that way for years. I know that the big underspins become popular right now, but all that littler stuff is awesome for little bass, crappie, for on BFS gear, standard gear, whatever. So I'm not even going to pull anything out of that box, you know, and it's just a, you never know with crappie, or once you get to that real little stuff, they could be hitting on very little swim bait head. I guess I will show you. I think I actually got it out here. That right there is what last year I was tearing them up on. That is, I believe, an 1/8 ounce jig head. It's kind of yellow, black, and white with red eyes, right? And that's just kind of a plain Charlie Brewer crappie slider, and the smallest size they make for that. But that little sucker, so out of this whole box, if I had to have one thing I could take, it would be that little dude out of my crappie box. But any crappie boxes is awesome on BFS stuff. So I'm going to get rid of it, get it out of the way, because I don't really consider, this is my crappie box, I don't really consider it my bass box. I just keep it around and I'll throw it and usually switch to crappie. So we're going to start from the top and work our way down. Let me get this box out of the way. Alright, I'm going to try to make this one video like I did the other one. I'm just going to start with Buzzbaits. Now, Buzzbaits, and there's also some baits I recommend only use on regular gear, not BFS gear, as I alluded to in that BFS video. When it comes to Buzzbaits, there's actually, I like both. I like the standard, like a half, I don't go really any bigger than a 1/2 ounce Buzzbait. And this old school one, that's what I like. You hear that? I will show you real quick. This, if this is not squeezed to where it doesn't move, that's what you need to do. And see how this is an old school blade to where there's aluminum, there's a hole in the middle. There's a metal on each side. The ones that just have this, top and bottom, I don't like as well. They'll work, but I don't like them as well as that blade. I like that blade right there. And that's an awesome bait. Caught a lot of bass on it. Just started using it again. Oh, there, here goes the wind. That's for regular gear, 1/2 ounce. But then I talked about it in the BFS video. They make for BFS these little guys. And I'll be honest with you, if you had told me I could only take one to go and catch fish, I'd catch fish, because sometimes this is just not working. Maybe it's too late in the day, you got to wait for a certain time. It usually will work. But there's been times where that guy right there will get hit, where the bigger one won't. So if I had to go with one, you notice I removed the white. Sorry about that noise, that's crazy. The wind is picking up. It feels good out here too, by the way. But if I had to go with one Buzzbait, because I do like these little ones and they're easier to throw in BFS gear. You can throw these. I've done it before with bait casting gear, but it is hard to throw. I forget the exact weight on them. But Strike King and Berkeley make these little bitty ones. So So what I recommend is just get one like this, you know, have at least a ½ ounce one and a smaller, I think that's a 1/4 ounce. You can throw it if you had to on bait caster, throw it on spinning and BFS, awesome. But I would get one of each, a little bitty one, probably the littlest you can find a buzzbait, and then a ½ ounce buzzbait. Colors doesn't make a huge difference. Some people take black, white and chartreuse. Just get them. If you can have the space, get, you know, one of each. I like mine with brighter colors, maybe over black. I don't like all black on a topwater bait. I just never have, never will. I don't know how these guys keep talking about how they like them like that. Anyway, that's on a buzzbait. Still going to topwater. I'm going to jump to basically topwater hard baits and frogs, that sort of stuff. Now this is a box where I always like to have, it's hard to pull just one or two things out because there's like a bunch of stuff. Topwater, you know, if anybody knows topwater, it usually means the bass are active and they'll hit a lot of different things. But the poppers last year, and I haven't hardly had any luck yet this year. Now this is a different bait. Mine had a red hook up front because the hooks had worn out from the year before, but I tore him up on that guy last year. This year, I've been doing better with the smaller baits just right out of the gate. As soon as I got these littler baits, they went on fire. And this bigger Pop X or Pop Max, I haven't had as much luck as I have in the years past. You know, a couple years ago, I didn't have real little poppers, and I come out here with these guys and just flat tear them up. This year, not so much. Frogs, not so much this year. But to break it down, what I would recommend to have, you need at least, I recommend the smallest popper and then a mid-sized popper. So either, you can get cheap ones, they carry these on AliExpress too, about the same price as these guys. They're not quite, these are actually better quality than these guys, but you can get a big popper and a little popper. I recommend the smallest popper you can get and a mid-size, either the Pop X, Pop Max, this kind. You need something bigger than the smallest one you can get. These are the ones from AliExpress, $4 each. But poppers are a must. A hollow body frog in a ½ ounce, I recommend the Booyah popping pad crasher. I feel is a must for top water. There's just them times you're gonna need a medium heavy to heavy rod. And there's just them times when you need to throw it in that gunk and muck and up on those lily pads, places to where nothing else will go. These will go. They're the 4x4 of the topwater world. They'll go anywhere. The only other thing you can do is take just a hook, similar to this without the weight on it. Take just a hook, rig up a swim bait, you know, weedless, with a bare hook, which I call weightless, and you can throw it and work it. It's the only other thing I found that will go pretty much anywhere. You're basically Texas rigging without the bullet weight, and that will go on top, across the lily pads, in the gunk, slime, wherever this will go, this can go. It won't stay floating. You stop it, it's going to start sinking. But actually that works in your advantage. Sometimes you pull it right across the gunk, and as you hit an opening, just kill it and let it, you know, start falling, and sometimes you'll get hit better than this thing. So that's the only other baits that I recommend on as far as topwater. So I recommend, I mentioned the two sizes buzz baits. I recommend the whopper ploppers. They're a new bait that's out, you know, within the last few years. Some guys still have not thrown a whopper plopper. I've worn them out around whopper ploppers here. They don't work as good as they used to. When this whopper plopper first came out, this big one, it flat just like caught bass non-stop. Now they you know, fish just do. They get accustomed to baits, and they kind of cycle through every so many years. You know, chatter baits don't work like they used to back when they first came out. It's just, that's the way it is. I don't know, I can't explain it. It's science. But I recommend probably this size. If I had to pick one size whopper plopper, they make the 70, which is actually bigger and heavier, but it's, you know, shorter. But this one haven't had the luck. That size right there is, you know, once fish kind of get accustomed to them, they will still hit. And I recommend almost a ghost color, because that plopping noise is what they're coming out. Like I just tell you why, you know, they want the white or yellow or the black, the loon colors or whatever. I've had my best luck on these three right here. You can see that's a big one, but the belly of it, it's kind of a clear, these clear bellies. I think they can't make out exactly what they're hitting sometimes, so they're, you know, they just make out a little silhouette of something. So my recommendation would be if you want a big one, you want to catch big bass, that will probably do it. You'll catch a little, you'd be surprised how little bass hit that too. But I recommend these kind of what I call a ghost type color over any other color. But you know, if I was you, I'd get like this color, something kind of green, ghost color. Get you, this is a cheap AliExpress version, more of a, you know, maybe more of just a bone or white, off-white color than that, and then a black one if you're, you know, worried about it, or a very bright one, a kind of ghosty one, and then a white one. But I do recommend that you get whopper, plopper, a hollow-bodied frog, probably 2 poppers, a big popper and a little bitty popper. And that's really on BFS gear. That's about the only thing I recommend using the BFS gear for, is them little bitty poppers. Almost all your other topwater stuff, I recommend, you know, if that little popper to the mid, say 1/4 ounce popper, you can't get it on BFS gear. I don't recommend hardly any other type of topwater baits for BFS. Just catch them with regular gear. When they're hitting topwater, they're hitting aggressively. You don't necessarily need BFS gear. If you want to catch them on BFS gear, throw, which I've thrown, that guy on the 661 Tang Teton. I don't recommend it, but I've done it. But those are my main baits. Buzzbaits, whopper ploppers, poppers of some sort, hollow body frog, you're good to go. Alright, this video I'm going to have to edit, but so that's your whole topwater. Then you're going to go just below topwater